What up, my freaks? Ruinous Insight here with part, I want to say 45 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Archaon the Everchosen Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, we continue advance into the Empire of Undeath with Mordheim falling to Archaon and giving us a decent little battle against the dead here. I expect greater ones to come, but at the end of the day, it's still the Orky endgame, so it'll be those guys that we have to contend with, and we are certainly heading towards them at the current time. And oh my lord, these guys can travel far. Huh, do they get some kind of crazy movement bonus? I mean, look at this. They can, it seems like they can move as far as we can, which is interesting. Because I don't imagine that they would have the same kind of buffs as we do, unless they have a maxed out technology tree or something like that, but I guess maybe the AI gets similar bonuses. Anyway, I'm getting distracted at what we got to do this time around. We are poised to attack LOTHERN itself, so I think we can get a pretty darn good battle out of this for Valkia, so I think we'll do that one to start the day. We can do, let's see, we've got 2 points available to you, 1 point in Blade Master and I guess 1 point in Fill the Chalice. Yeah, and we'll max out Fill the Chalice after. I think that the 5 points in the melee attack is probably very much worth our time. Now, the question is, will these guys be willing to fight outside the settlement? Or will they run? They have Alistar the White Line with lots of Exalted and Regiments of Renanin. Yes, indeed, they will fight. It's the LOTHERN garrison, so it's the most powerful garrison we're liable to face out here. And still have that Chaos Troll, the Armored Chaos Troll, but we'll see for how much longer. I guess that's about all we have to deal with, so let's jump into the fight and go.
After we water the earth with our enemy's blood, we will drink whatever's left.
Sounds like most of that's going to the earth, but sure. Alrighty, well, here we go. LOTHERN itself, our target, though we'll start off on this little tiny army outside the enemy settlement. Valkia will duel the enemy lord, but only briefly, as it is an archmage, and obviously there is no contest here. A couple more hits and Valkia will carry the day, at least against the enemy vanguard. And yeah, that was a little bit of a whiff there. Come on. There we go. And another decapitation. Valkia does like those sorts of finishing moves. Looks like the enemy, well, I hesitate to call it an army, really. A little enemy force out here is overrun and getting bowled over by the Juggernauts, and we do want to destroy everything here before the enemy army arrives, or perhaps not even before it arrives, but just so that they can no longer see our units as we hopefully make good use of the tree line. Now, there are a lot of trees here, and we're going to set up in such a way that 4 of our Chaos Knights of Khorne are here. We're going to pop our Juggernauts either here or through the center of our own lines, and then our Chaos Warriors are non-chosen over in this tree line to hit the enemy in the back, since we don't want them fighting in melee as much as the Chaos or the Chosen, or rather. At the very least, the Shielded Chosen, which are going to be out front and hopefully take the brunt of the damage from the enemy. Looks like Alistar is on the field, and Valkia will head out to duel him while we set up on top of this hill. We also want the enemy to move enough onto the battlefield so that if we hit them in the back with our various Chaos Knights and other fast movers, that they don't have time to simply leave the battlefield. Although I suppose we could have drawn them out a little bit more into the battlefield. We have a lot of cab in this army, so we should still be able to make do without a crazy amount of distance. Anyway, these two will begin the battle proper with a nice aerial ballet, as Valkia is going to bring, let's see, Alistar down fairly quickly by the looks of it. He's down about a third of his HP already, and Valkia remains relatively unharmed. All the while, of course, his army does approach us below, but, well, we have the superior position here. Just gotta be careful about taking shots on our bloodthirsters, as we've seen in every episode with these Khornate armies with single entities. They do have a tendency to get targeted by those elves. Alistar below half of his HP now. We're gonna move those bloodthirsters away from hovering over our force so that they don't take as much damage. In a couple of seconds, apparently. There they go. While allowing the rest of the enemy to move on in. And it probably is disheartening as they will see Alistar brought down overhead and just as they join the battle, or perhaps the army will not see it as Alistar will fall behind them. Probably for the best. Would have been nice if we could have used them to crush a bunch of their troops, but, well, you can't have it all. Alright, and how are we doing? One more hit or two more hits by the looks of it. Alistar is wavering, Valkia is more or less fine, and we will bring him down. The Bloodthirsters aren't going for him, but rather for the ranged units that are in the back line. And here we go, the battle will now engage properly. Our Chosen will hold back the enemy elites as the enemy Swordsmasters of Hoeth and Phoenix Guard, 3 of these elite units, facing off against a unit of Chaos Warriors and a Chosen here. These guys are probably going to dish out plenty of damage, but they are not protecting their back lines. The Bloodthirsters, the Chaos Knights, the Blood Crushers, or Skull Crushers rather, and the Chaos Warriors of Khorne all move out from that tree line. And no more shots on our Bloodthirsters, please. There we go, destroy that Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower crew. And the Chaos Knights and the other units are in. There we go, the enemy army is now surrounded, though of course that is still only the beginning of the battle, as it is going to take quite some time to bring everything down. We still have that single troll troop in this army that we've been looking to replace with the hero, and still haven't managed to do, but, well, it'll happen eventually. Our Skull Crushers running around in the background. Probably could have moved them through the biggest blob of enemies as we've seen the effectiveness of their charge, but, well, we're looking pretty good now that we have all these Chaos Knights where they're supposed to be positioned. Alright, unfortunately Alistar did make it off the field of battle. He just escaped with a hit or two remaining, but that's okay. If you're wondering why I didn't look at the at Valkia delivering the final blow, the balance of power moves up to about 70% in our favor, though the Phoenix Guard and the Swordsmasters of Hoeth are still fighting and have taken about half the HP off those Chaos Warriors of Khorne. These guys are armor piercing, as in the enemy are armor piercing, so it's hardly surprising that the 222 armor isn't going to matter nearly as much there. Plus, they have relatively low armor piercing themselves, the sword and board Chaos Warriors. And thus are going to struggle against the Swordsmasters and the Phoenix Guards. Still a pretty cool contest, and while these guys are being held back, the rest of their army is being obliterated. Looks like this one single Chaos Knight for some reason got separated from his group and then brought down by the Phoenix Guard, but that was a lot of Phoenix Guard for but a single Chaos Knight of Khorne. The Chosen and the Chaos Warriors, however, are still in the fight. More Phoenix Guard back here and more white lines. Plenty of elites, but it is LOTHERN after all, so that's what we should expect. The enemy's back line has collapsed and the balance of power is at about 90-ish% in our favor now. And, oh, this is the Pure Main Company, so they will fight to the last white line, as they're unbreakable, but well, I would imagine the Bloodthirsters are pretty adept at breaking things, and with that it looks like the Phoenix Guard and the Swordsmasters of Hoeth will give it up. They were all roughly around half HP, or at least these 3 units were around half HP, but like we had surmised at the start of the battle, it was only a matter of breaking the rest of their army. Looks like the last of the Pure Main Company falls below Slaughter, by the looks of it, slaughtered by Slaughtered. while carnage beheld the carnage. Anyway, we've got a lot of chasing to do in this particular battle. It was a nice fight, but, well, we certainly don't want the auto-resolve to screw us over into fighting it again, so we'll do that off-screen. Alright, not too bad at all. The enemies did give us a pretty darn nice fight. Out of that, several of our units got very badly damaged, though fortunately the vast majority, I would say, maintained enough of their unit models to heal up at the end of the match, though one of the units of Chaos Knights, one of the units of Chosen, and another unit of Chaos Warriors were pretty badly damaged. The Swords Masters of Hoeth, the White Lions, and the Phoenix Guard were responsible. This one got 10,000 damage, which is pretty darn solid against our armies, and we can see how the elites have all the kills and the damage up at the top of the food chain. A lot less damage in the various Lothern Sea Guard, but we deployed our army such that about half of the army was ready to hit those guys in the back and prevent them from pincushioning us. Sick of losing or taking damage to the war shrines and the bloodthirsters from all that range. So yeah, a very nice job to everybody. Looks like, let's see, for the cavalry, it'll be the Dragoons of Khorne who carry the day, and for the infantry, by the looks of it, it's the Devourers at 16k. I don't think anybody's beaten that one. Valkia got 36k herself, of course, but it's Valkia, so we can very much expect that. Kill those captives. Cultists, enemy killed in battle, Sword of Striking, and take Lothern. Hopefully this doesn't do too much damage, but most of the enemy... Oh, wow, really? 109? Really? Okay, that was garbage. That was absolute garbage. What are you talking about, game? Their army was dead. Their lord was dead, and you take twice as many units from the... Oh, game. Okay, well, we're still gonna sack you, and we're still gonna move on in. Yeah, an axe of corn. Man, I mean, this is a third axe of corn, and we haven't gotten the, is it armor of corn that we need? There's another thing that is in the set, and oh! Would you look at that? We actually get to keep the Lothern port. I wasn't expecting that. Unit capacity plus 1 Lothern Sea Guard. Well, that's great, but not something we need. This actually gives us a little bit of cash, too. Go figure. Recruit rank plus 1 for Gate Guard and Lothern Sea Guard. Fun stuff. But it's not like Malekith where you can build the Dark Shrine of Assyrian or whatever the version is called and then get access to Elven units, which is a pretty darn fun mechanic, though. Anyway, you, sir, Tamar Painbringer, move along towards Valkia. I need you to both be here such that she can damage the Tower of Lysaean while you take it and then keep moving. We still got a little bit of Lothern to take, but, well, it's looking a lot better now. Great battle. Alright, you moved on in. Who is up next right now? Jaeger. You have some potential fights, so I think Glugmir should probably be the one to attack the Red Duke, and in fact, with, about 2.5 stacks here. That looks like it's worth fighting. What do they have here? A couple of corpse carts, though not unholy lodestones. 2 Terrorgeists and a Vargulf, plus the Red Duke on a zombie draw. No, it's a Hellsteed. But, yeah, 2 Terrorgeists and a Vargulf, so that should be threatening. We've got Mourngulls and Blood Knights in here. This actually... This actually looks to be worthy of our attentions. In fact, worthy enough to... Let's see, maybe here. I want to see what's in this army. Blood Knights, more Graveguard, Cairn Wraiths, and yeah, this should be a fun fight. Alright, I think I was not going to evolve these two, but I think for this one we probably should evolve them just in case. Granted, we'd lose out on their buff, but yeah, Chaos Warrior them up. You can go, I guess, shielded, and then you can go... Great weapon. Can you spawn an Urgolite yourself? No, you can't, but that's okay. Alright, looks like another big old fight. One more fight for Glugmir, close defeat as well. Ooh. One more fight for Glugmir before his army is taken over by Festus. Alright, hopefully he doesn't lose that here. Is this a bad idea? Close defeat, eh? Yeah, but the army isn't very good at using the vampire counts, so... We should be okay. Let's pop the Banner of Eternal Flame on, I don't know, the Spawn and Nurgle, just because. And just because we can. Go.
Better than Van Horstman. All will be destroyed.
Alright, here we go. All will be despoiled by the forces of Nurgle, and I'm really glad that we're gonna get a big old proper fight for this particular army. A chance for this Nurglite army, the third Nurglite army, to shine. A, because it's different from all the other armies, focusing on the demonic monstrous units that we have here, and B, because lately in the past few battles against the armies of the Broken Axe or hordes of the Broken Axe, our Nurglite force has been outshined by the Tzeentch Flamers, who admittedly did a fantastic job doing what they were doing, but we gotta give the beasts of Nurgle and the great unclean ones a chance to do their thing. Anyway, we're gonna move our sorcerer forward and start the battle off. Now, the enemy is waiting for its reinforcements to arrive, its Terrorgeists and Lord hovering overhead, but we're going to try and kick the anthill, as it were, and the way that we're going to try to do that is by casting a Gehenna's Golden Hounds into the pile of enemy zombies. Obviously, this is a waste, and this is not an overcast spell, just to do a teensy bit of damage to the zombies, dropping them down to half HP and allowing us to summon our units of Chaos Spawn. And now, these guys will hopefully do enough damage to the zombies to force the entire enemy army to attack us, rather than sitting around where they're currently sitting around. The reinforcements have, after all, arrived on the field. In fact, there are 40 units on the field now, and they have stopped moving in, so they gotta charge us at some point. And the reason we don't want to go for them is because we've got a pretty darn good position for ourselves here. An impassable piece of terrain, this big old rock and tower, will hopefully allow us to hole up here. If we wanted to be really cheap about it, we could just fight with our backs to the walls here, essentially blob up like this, fully around the war shrines, but I think this will look cooler, and generally speaking, I try to fight battles with formations that will look better, rather than being the most efficient. Anyway, looks like the Red Duke will move in with his Terrorgeist against the Great Unclean One, who slams that big old cleaver down, and the Beasts of Nurgle and the Chaos Warriors have arrived to join the fray. We're going to essentially blob up with two major blobs here, situated essentially around the two war shrines. Now, we do have a little bit of a fight on the flanks as well, and will in fact move Glugmir, our sorcerer, in to help out. Looks like a unit of Fellbats and a unit of Blood Knights and Black Knights are moving around here. The Black Knights, or wait, actually it was the Blood Knights, did manage to catch out and kill about half a dozen of our doggos, and are now moving in to fight with these guys. But this is why we moved our sorcerer here. We're going to pop the Plague of Rust on the Black Knights to reduce their armor, and they are going to blob up a little bit, but we are going to fight them. The Hounds of Pestilence are pretty darn tough to deal with, though the Blood Knights in particular have magical damage, and thus the massive amount of physical resistance that we have on the Hounds is not going to be useful here. And as we can see, the Hounds of Decay are very much dropping. I don't think we've seen Hounds of Decay get this badly hurt in a long time, but yeah, gotta watch out for all that magical damage. But at the same time, it is pretty critical to destroy the Blood Knights, as they're a very effective unit. We certainly don't want them surrounding and destroying any of our Beasts of Nurgle, and thus all the Pestilent Doggos plus the summoned unit of Forsaken will hopefully be able to clear them out. The enemy does also have reinforcements moving around the Black Knights, but hopefully by the time they get here, the Blood Knights will be pretty much destroyed. And they're in critical binding. I'm gonna have to head off the Black Knights so that they don't interfere with the destruction of their vampiric, not so much masters, or I guess brethren here. Alrighty, there we go, and the Blood Knights crumble away just in time as the Black Knights arrive, but the Black Knights without magical damage have no chance against the Pestilent Doggos. They probably won't even really hurt them. The main fight still goes on, has been going on this entire time, and we're fighting the dead here, so it is going to take a while with all their heals, but it did allow us to look away and see what was going on over on the other side. Our Chaos Spawn have peeled away from the center of the line to join the Great Unclean One and the Beasts of Nurgle over on the leftmost flank, as they are fighting the Red Duke himself here, and thus need a little bit more forces, or a little bit more power, than this side of the battlefield, even though there is a Strigoi leading them there. Looks like another Death Shriek from that Terrorgeist coming in, and they do keep dropping that, but we've got Spellword coming down in the background as a Searing Doom is supporting the other blob. And once again, I just love this lighting. Really makes the battles look very nice and cinematic here. Looks like the Red Duke really wants a piece of this Great Unclean One as he continues trying to damage it and has brought it down to nearly half of his HP with a little bit of help from that Terrorgeist. But at the very least, the Chaos Warriors appear to be more or less fine, have not yet lost a single model. It does seem that the enemy is trying to focus our single entities down a little bit more than our blobs of units, which may be smart. Especially with regards to the Beasts of Nurgle, who are, well, our allegiance units from our allies, and thus won't be easy or possibly even possible to get more of. And certainly not anytime soon, as we've used all of our Nurglite allegiance at the current time, and because if we hadn't, we would be building Exalted Plague Bearers for Be'lakor as we speak. Anyway, the battle continues. Graveguard, Black Knights, Ghouls, Skeletons, all the infantry of the Vampire Counts arrayed against us, but we have the advantage in terms of support, whereas the enemy still has a one corpse card here. A, it's not an unholy lodestone, and B, it's not enough of them, and C, we have the Chaos War Shrines, which serve a similar purpose. And ours are very much healing us. Not merely providing vigor mortis like the regular non-unholy lodestone corpse card is. Alright, still holding the ground. The balance of power shifts to our favor at about 65-ish%. And getting a little bit of a duel between an enemy Terrorgeist and another one of our Great Unclean Ones. Great Unclean One's doing a lot of work in this particular battle, or at the very least taking a lot of damage. And that, I guess, is what they're supposed to do. Just out of curiosity, 68 kills and 13k damage, not so bad, in fact. Out of curiosity, comparatively, the War Shrine, which is a support unit, got only 2.5k damage, which, well, it's not supposed to do damage, but, yeah. I was just curious because it was in the pile of enemy skeletons and such, and should still be able to do damage to those. Anyway, more reinforcements are still arriving onto the field, though I do believe that was the last of the enemy piles. And now we just have to destroy those. A Searing Doom, or Piercing Bolts of Burning, or Fires of Chaos, that's the one, comes down on those Graveguard, but the enemy are starting to lose numbers quickly now. The enemy has lost, I believe, one of its Terrorgeists, the Corpse Card. Oh, there was two Corpse Cards. But they're still both of the regular variety. And either the Balefire or the Unholy Lodestone would have been a lot better here. There we go, down both Corpse Cards go. The Terrorgeist has fallen. There is a Vargulf in here. The other Terrorgeist and the Red Duke. But now they're going to get surrounded and destroyed by the piles of units. And we do have the Great Weapon Nurglite Chaos Warriors, which are pretty darn good. They got armor piercing, they got poison, and they got everything you want. Alright, and where's the Red Duke? He's still in here? Still about half HP on him, huh? And just a little bit more work. Not much to say about this battle tactically anymore, as it's just devolved into a war of attrition, which we are very much ahead in. The last of the Terrorgeist begins to crumble away, and it looks like the Red Duke will crumble and fall as well. Almost looked like he got over Looks like he almost got trampled, I guess, by the war shrine there. But crumbled away similar to that Terrorgeist, and there we go. With that, the battle is ours, and a pretty great one. In my opinion, a heroic victory as well. Alright, damn, 22k for that one, and well deserved, I would say. That was a great battle. Glugmir got plenty of damage, though of course he was pretty much in an ideal situation, facing off against a slow-moving undead. While we did take damage on a bunch of our Beasts of Nurgle, fortunately none of them lost a single unit, which means they all went back up to full health post-battle. We also got to remember that at the current time, this army does not yet have its Exalted Heroes of Nurgle, so no loci of fecundity to rely upon, and no healing from Glugmir, so this army will only get stronger from here, especially once Festus is up and running. Well done, all of you. Well done indeed. Kill the captives. Alright, and I take it, yeah, there's going to be a few remnants of this army. I take it we will not be able to chase it down? Just a little bit short. Nah, we got Seasoned Campaigner on you now as well. Don't really care about the Magister, and you've got a War Shrine as well, though I'm not sure whether that helps us all that much here. And it won't matter until, well, it won't matter next turn anyway. We're gonna pop ourselves into, I guess, in camp stance. We will want to heal up, and then we'll take Lyonesse or Mousillon next turn. Alright, let's keep on moving then. Jaeger, we moved Glugmir so that you were, or remained, I suppose, free to move. I assume that I could actually use the Bordelot Harbor since we can use the Lothern Harbor. We haven't taken Marienburg yet, but perhaps we can take that harbor as well. On the other hand, I don't remember, were we able to use the Ehrengrad docks or were we not? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter either way, because we don't use the full version or the powerful version of either one anyway, but nah. You, Jaeger, where do we send you? We go southward towards Aquitaine, we could go this way. We should probably take Ziflin just so that the enemy isn't tempted by Blackstone Post. And there are a bunch of other armies nearby to here. And in fact, by the looks of it, Dada of Talrenic can actually reach us here. And I also wonder. Well, let's see what's at Ziflin. Oh, there are some orcs. We may have to Burninate them because otherwise we may get hit by a bunch of armies here. Which means we might have to manually fight that. What about at Montfort? Yeah, there's still units there. I'd rather not risk this army getting damaged heavily as it is in relatively dangerous territory. Let us upgrade it. And before we move, Warpfire and Chaos Vanguard, but more importantly Rally, and then... Is it Speed and Malice? No, it's Malevolent Ranger that boasts these guys up. Missile Resistance, Reload Time, and Armor. The Missile Resistance, if we're going to be fighting Wood Elves, is going to be particularly useful. Does Malevolent Ranger also buff the Soul Grinders of Tzeentch? Indeed it does. We have the Marauder Horses here, which I was going to take out, but they still chuck those Warpfire Javelins of theirs, so they could still prove useful. I was thinking potentially replace them with more fire units for them, like the Skaven, for example. But I'm not sure they'd actually be better, and we can use them to actually chase enemies down. Iffy. What do we want here? We can't quite get to Prismatic Plurality, unfortunately. We'll pick up, I think... I mean, we want to get Brand of Char for the Paragon of Change ability. Pretty much as soon as possible, so I think we'll get Fate marked. And then you guys, let's level you up as well before moving on. Horsemen of the Apocalypse, that's more armor. It's not a lot more armor, but it is more armor for our high-level Flamers. And I'd really rather they not die. What about the casters, or the other casters? Gotta go with Fated Protector. Barrier Replenishment for the entire army is just too good not to have. Deplorably Degenerate. I'm gonna be crazy useful here. And you are on the War Shrine, yeah? Oh, you're all 3 on your War Shrines. I mean, while we have the Curse of Cannibalism, that might be okay. On the other hand, if we're facing off against a lot of range units, the War Shrines might become a liability. Perhaps we at least put the Chaos Sorcerer, the leader Chaos Sorcerer, on a disc. And leave the other 2 on War Shrines, just so he can at least reposition more easily. But I'll think about it to some degree anyway. Yeah, once again, back to this. Let's try to go through Glittering Robe maxed out, or... Now, maybe another point in Gehenna's. Prismatic Plurality for you. Transmutation of Lead, I think, will max out. Unlikely we'll be casting Final Transmutation over Tzeentchian spells, so... Yeah. You have to max out Scouting and definitely get Faded Protector. Gotta get that barrier replenishment buffs. We'll want to max out probably Pink Fires into Prismatic Plurality and then get 1 point in Infernal Gateway. I was tempted by another point in Blue Fires, but, well, the Gateway is just too useful not to have. We can no longer reach Ziflin. Why? Usually that happens when you upgrade a unit or something. Did I have a hero selected, maybe? I don't think so. Sometimes it does this. You fiddle with the army and then it no longer... Okay, well, if we can't do that anymore, I guess we're heading to this little Vampire Coast army. It's gonna go around the lake. Oh, it's not gonna go around the lake. Alright, auto-resolve it, please. Don't tell me we're gonna lose units to this. 1. Okay, but at least it wasn't a Flamer. It was one of the Marauder horses. That's okay. That doesn't bother me as much. It bothers me a little, but not that much. Kill the captives. We'll still be able to move in that max distance next turn, so we should still be fine. To resolve this one as well. Alright, Dan, this time we lost 2, but once again no Flamers, so we're okay. Yeah, okay. Looks like this Marauder unit, Marauder Horseman unit, is getting screwed. Can't get to Aquitaine from here. I guess we're going into Channeling Stance. We're going to sit around. And we'll see whether these guys go anywhere next turn. But we'll have to see that, I think, next time, because we're out of time. We certainly don't have time to fight another battle this episode, although it would be nice to end the turn. So I could do the admin between the episodes. Alright, you know what? Here's what we'll do. You, mine of the Bearded Skulls, let's face it, this garrison is garbage. It's mostly skinks. The Pterodon Riders with Fire Leech Bullets could be an annoyance, but meh. Auto-resolve this. It barely even damaged us. And sack it. And then you try to occupy it. I don't know if we can get him to do it, but we'll give it a try. Chaos War Shrine for the Tallyman. I think we'll keep you on the disc, so that you can position to where you need to be faster. Now, Malefics, can you reach Thrice Cursed Peak from here? You cannot. Nor can you reach Dustgate. Duskgate? Dustgate. The question is, do we go for Shodel and Subiton and Thrice Cursed, or do we go down this way? Not enough armies here, unfortunately, so we can't be everywhere at once. I mean, it might be safer to try to move to Shodel across the mountains. Though we won't be able to heal up that way. I think it's safer if we guarantee our healing. Well, let's go to Thrice Cursed Peak. Oh, no, but traveling through the mountains is very inefficient. No, fine, go into encamp stance, we'll hit Shodel next time, and if these guys come up here, we'll attack them there. Let's see if anybody else can move so we can end the turn, ideally, hopefully, etc. An Aerith Magif, no, we'll have to, this one will have to be fought. It is an Elite Endgame stack, and an Aerith's going to most definitely fight it, but I guess we'll fight it at the start of next episode then. So, we'll save that for next time, we'll start off with that, and then see if we can't hit another one of these armies, while we do the same, or at least try to move towards the same enemies up here. Be'lakor and Gulator are both around, and I'm sure they'd like to slaughter the Slaughterer. And, ooh, Festus is available next turn, so we're likely to see him at least pop onto the field next episode, though it remains to be seen whether we can actually get him a fight. Maybe if these guys are to defend Lyonesse with a full stack, or at least a decent stack, that might be worth our time. Anyway, more Archaon to come, at least for now. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, as that will determine how long this campaign proceeds. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.